I'm approaching with the witness with what is S93. So you saw this earlier this morning, correct?
Yes.
And you remember that it when you read it out loud to the jury, you explained that it says I have the right to be present while the search is conducted. I waive or do not waive this right, and waive is circled.
Correct.
Okay. And you indicated to the jurors that that was a mistake of some sort.
Yes.
And then when I asked you, okay, so like where did the search take place? You said it was in the driveway, right?
Yes.
Right where the car was parked.
Yes.
And that's within the crime scene tape area.
Yes.
And within the crime scene tape area, you had brought in Mr. Caneiro within the area in the driveway to view the search.
Yes.
You said he was like 10 feet away from the vehicle, maybe 10, 15?
Approximately.
Okay. I'm approaching the witness with the same exhibits that I cited earlier. It's D1-43 through D1-49. So, did you want me to show? So, Officer, Detective, Lieutenant, do you recognize this? What's happening in this photo?
Yes.
Okay, what's happening in that photo?
It's photographs of two vehicles in the driveway.
And it appears the hood is up
The hood is up.
of the one vehicle,
Of the McCann, yes.
of the McCann, and that's the vehicle that Mr. Caneiro consented be searched, correct?
Correct.
And specifically at the time that you asked for consent to search, you wanted to look under the hood of the vehicle, correct?
The fire marshal was one conducting the main search. He was looking for extension of the fire.
Okay, and do you see the fire marshal in that photo? Maybe it's hard to tell, but there's some uniformed
There's
firemen.
multiple firemen with fire gear on.
Okay.
I'm not sure if his back is turned. I'm not positive.
Okay, well, the hood is up, and it appears that this is the search of the vehicle, correct?
Correct.
And I'm going to show you another one. It's almost exactly the same,
Yes.
just a little bit of a different angle, correct? You can
Yes.
see a little more of the driveway. Now I'm going to show you one that's a little bit more zoomed in. And this is,
Ms. Messelin, do you just mind just when you're doing each one, just to say the number on the back?
sure, the first photo that we looked at was 1-43, then 1-44, and now we're on 1-45.
Thank you.
Okay, does that also depict the search?
We're standing in the driveway. The hood is now closed in this picture.
The hood is now closed. And here's, do you recognize this
It's
gentleman?
Detective Catalona.
This is Detective Catalona, and he has a camera in his hand, correct?
Correct.
So he's photographing the search.
Yes.
And we do have photos. Have you seen the photos of the search?
Perhaps. It's been many years.
Here's another photograph where it appears he's photographing like the inside of the vehicle.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Ms. Messelin, could you say that?
Sorry, the one I just showed was 1-47, and the one before that was 1-46. They're in consecutive order.
Thank you.
And so finally, I'm going to show you 1-49, which is another angle of the search. In this photograph, we see the full driveway, correct?
Correct.
And you can see the taped off area.
Yes.
Okay, but what we don't see is Mr. Caneiro anywhere near the vehicle that's being searched.
Okay.
All right. Can you publish that? So just so the jury has the benefit of knowing what I was referencing, if I can have that on now. So, officer, this is D1-43. I showed you this photograph, and you acknowledged that this is a photograph of the search. We can see that the hood to the vehicle of the McCann is up, correct?
Correct.
And you agreed that the reason why the hood is up is because the officers or the fire marshal specifically wanted to look under the hood of the car, right?
Yes.
And that's because this is where the burn marks on the hood were, and there were concerns about that, right?
Correct.
Okay. And then we have another photograph. This is D1-44, and this is, again, just another photo of the search. It's a very similar photo, correct?
Yes.
And then I'm going to show 1-45. This is a little bit more zoomed in. You can kind of just see some of the people that were involved. And this is Detective Catalona, correct? And just for the record, he's the individual with the beard who's closest to the vehicle with like a black attire and a reflective stripe. This is D1-46, and we can see the Detective Catalona now has a camera in his hand where it appears he's taking photographs of the search, correct?
Correct.
And then D1-47, we can see that Detective Catalona appears to be taking photos of inside of the vehicle because, again, this is the search that is taking place, correct?
Correct.
And then we have D1-49, and this is the entire driveway area where we can see the taped off crime scene area, correct?
Yes.
And we can see the same, they're far away, but we can see the same individuals in the photo, correct?
It appears so.
And we see the Jeep in the driveway, right?
Yes.
And what we don't see is anywhere 10 to 15 feet away, Mr. Caneiro in the driveway observing the search, correct?
Not in the civic shop.
Now, another thing I wanted to just talk about was we talked earlier about how you had the opportunity, and you discussed it in your report, that you reviewed the body-worn camera footage in this case, right?
Yes.
And part of that included video of when Officer Redman, originally approached the shed and was observing the stones, right? And the potential footprints that were seen?
Correct.
Okay. Judge, there being no objection from the state, I'm just gonna show a 1-minute clip of some body-worn camera footage that this witness has indicated he's reviewed.
Okay, just tell us what the exhibit number is, if you don't mind.
Sorry, Judge. I believe it's 106.
S or D?
D106.
D106,
Yeah,
okay.
Body-worn camera of Officer Redmond, ending 3926.
Okay. We're in the audio's on. Okay, I'm just gonna show the video for you to view, okay?
In the upper left corner.
Do you recognize that as the shed?
Yes.
Or maybe, you have to mute it, it's not. Just a few seconds. We just saw a lot of flashing lights, correct?
In the background?
Yes.
Yes.
And those are all of the responders who are here on scene at this point, right?
Yes.
Okay. Just to orient ourselves. And we can stop it around here. Thank you. So this was the video of Officer Redman near the shed, correct?
Yes.
And what we can't see from the video, we see him shining his flashlight at the stones, correct?
Yes.
Where we later learned there was a footprint, right? But we can't see the actual footprint, right?
Correct.
So nothing related to this footprint was preserved, correct?
Correct.
Now, we can put both clips on. With respect to the garage area where the DVR had been retrieved, did you observe that area? Did you go into the garage yourself?
Sure, at some point I was in the garage, yes.
Okay. Now, at some point, you also had a conversation with Mr. Caneiro, correct?
Reference to,
Well, you had multiple conversations with him,
I did.
right? One of those conversations centered around his DVR system, and he mentioned something, or his cameras, and he mentioned something, I think you testified, you mentioned something about a firewall and connectivity issues or something.
that's correct.
Did I say
Yes.
that correctly? Okay. So did you at any point go into the garage and look at the area of where the DVR was retrieved from to see like what was going on in that location?
I believe at some point it was shown to me where the DVR was located.
Did you look at the wires and the plugs and whatever items were in there to see what potentially was connected to what?
No.
Did you take note of where the outlets were? Were they behind the refrigerator? Were they more accessible? Was there a power strip? Anything along those lines to try to understand better what Mr. Caneiro was indicating about a connectivity issue?
I did not.
And you didn't ask him in that moment either, correct?
No.
Okay. And is it fair to say that what you're writing down is probably not verbatim what he's saying to you. You're summarizing.
Correct. My notes?
Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
in your report.
A report verbatim, not always, no.
Okay. And so we're talking about it. Would you agree if we're talking about a technological issue? It's a little bit technical.
It sounded it.
Okay, it sounded it. And so the word you meant that you recall him saying is a firewall.
Correct.
And is that something that deals, are you familiar with what a firewall is?
I couldn't define it for you, but I know it has to do with computers and things like that.
Computers and things like that. Okay. And when you went into the garage, did you take note of certain access points that were located in different areas in the garage and also the house?
Access points to what? I don't recall. I don't-
Another question I have is, when you wanted to know whether or not the cameras were actually recording and whether there was any information on that system, why didn't you just ask Mr. Caneiro, hey, can you just pull it up on your phone? Do you have access? Can we see it? Can we check it? Let's see if it's working.
I think at that point in time, since the DVR had been secured as evidence, we just view it off of that.
Okay, but that took time, right?
We viewed it later, yes.
And didn't you want to know as soon as possible that, like, who could have set this fire since it was already a crime scene, and you wanted to know, like, maybe who did it?
We decided to view it off the DVR.
Okay. Now, you were there when Detective Catalona from the prosecutor's office, forensics, was processing the scene.
Yes.
Do you recall whether that French door that was unlocked, whether that door was processed?
I do not recall that, no.
Okay, you don't know if that was like.
I didn't necessarily follow him around, so I
Okay.
I don't know.
Being the lead detective on the case, do you now have any knowledge of that or no?
Not that I can recall.
Would that have? So we talked about, other things you did on scene. Are you walking around, like, kind of like monitoring what your patrol officers are doing? I mean, like, what are you doing mostly on scene?
Depends on what was occurring at the time, but yes, take an overview of the situation, keeping an eye on people involved, watching what the fire marshals are doing, so I can learn and see what they're figuring out. Yes, there's a lot to watch and listen.
And at one point, did you talk to any of the neighbors?
Yes.
Okay, and obviously without saying anything they said, do you recall which neighbors you talked to?
That day,
Yes.
spoke to Jonathan Harrington.
Okay, you spoke to Jonathan Harrington, and you then later got a formal statement from him, correct?
Yes,
You also, and you were there, you were present for that statement.
I believe so, yes.
Would seeing a copy of the statement refresh your recollection as to
Yes.
whether you were there?
Lieutenant, will you take your word for it if it's on the form?
I believe I was present for his statement.
Okay, he was there. Go ahead, you can ask your next question.
Okay, so you acknowledge that you were present for Jonathan Harrington's statement, correct? And you also acknowledge that there was another neighbor, Heather Kapp. You were also present for her statement as well, correct?
Yes,
Okay, so again, not asking you to repeat anything that was said by either of them, but you know what they said.
yes,
Okay, and despite knowing what they said, those interviews took place on, so you spoke to Jonathan Harrington that day, right?
correct.
And then you took the formal interviews, the one of Jonathan Harrington was on November 27th, correct?
That's what it says, yes.
That's 7 days later?
Yes,
Well, I don't want to, if that's what it says, you want to look at it?
sure.
You don't have to say it. I'm going to approach with what is marked as S82 for identification, and you recognize this, correct?
Yes,
This is Jonathan Harrington's statement.
yes,
It was taken at the Ocean Township Police Department,
correct,
and it was taken on November 27th,
correct,
right? And the one of Heather Kapp was taken December 17th.
correct.
Okay. Now, knowing what they said, right? Would you disagree with me that it would have been maybe even more important to try to retrieve surveillance video from the other side of Tilton to find out what happened at 4:30 in the morning?
I stated before that we did attempt to obtain surveillance footage from the street that day.
Okay, that day, right? But coincidentally, the only videos we have are from one side, correct?
Yes,
And there's no documentation in your report that says we went to this house and yes or no, they had it. We went to this house and yes or no, they had it. We went to this house and yes or no, they had it. We went to this house, they weren't home, we came back. There's nothing like that in your report, correct?
It's been gone over several times. Is there anything that you didn't say before about the cameras that you want to say now?
No, sir.
All right, so we know the answers.
And just to be clear though, you did have other other officers assist you, correct?
Yes,
And one of those officers was Officer Melody,
correct.
or is it Detective
He's a
Melody?
detective, yes.
And Detective Melody, he wrote a report, correct?
I believe you did, yes.
And in his report, the only house he references getting surveillance from is 19 Oxford.
It is hearsay, sustained.
Based on your review, you know that the only house that he went to is 19 Oxford, based on his report.
Based off of his report, yes. I would assume so.
And the other two officers who assisted you, in addition to Detective Melody, you testified before, those were Martin and Orbach, correct?
Correct.
And neither of those officers, are they officers, detectives?
Martin was my supervisor. He was Sergeant Martin at the time,
Okay,
and it was Detective Warbuck.
okay, and neither of them even have a report? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. And on the 27th, you referenced several times that you referenced the, no, tell me if I'm wrong, you referenced several times the canvas for the surveillance video on the 20th, correct?
Yes.
You keep saying like that day, right?
Yes.
But in fact, you personally, with Detective Weisbrot, went back to the area 7 days later on November 27th, correct?
Perhaps I'd have to double check my report. We did go back. I'm not specifically positive on the date that we went back.
Would seeing a copy of your report help refresh your
Yes.
recollection? Sir, you've seen your report before, correct?
Yes.
Now, just to give a little bit of context, in this case, your report, along with every other Ocean Township officer, with the exception of Bernhard, created a report that was encompassed in one large report, correct?
Yes. That's yes.
Okay, so this is like the whole thing. It's S72 is 72 pages actually, right?
Correct.
You've seen this?
Yes.
But I'm going to direct you to your report, which starts on page 38. Okay, and then I'm going to direct you recognize this as your report?
Yes.
You agree it's your report?
Yes.
I'm going to direct your attention to page 57 of 72. And I'm going to ask that you read to yourself this last paragraph here. Just that last paragraph there. Okay, so on November 27th, you and Detective Weisbrot go to the area of 27 Tilton, correct?
Yes.
And specifically, you go to 29 Tilton, right?
Correct.
Which we know is like the next house over.
Yes.
And the reason for it is because it's part of your continuing canvas, right?
Yes.
And you memorialize that no one was home, so you left your business card, correct?
Yes.
And you went there after you spoke to Jonathan Harrington, correct? That same day.
Yes.
All right. So again, despite that, you never make your way over to the other side of the street on the 27th and try to see if anyone has any videos on that entire side of the street.
Correct.
Now, at some point, you ask Mr. Caneiro, his wife Susan Caneiro, and one daughter who was there to come back to the police station, correct?
Yes.
And the reason for that is because you wanted to take statements from them and
Yes.
see, what if any information they had. Now, they, as you testified to in direct, they asked for time to, I think you said, to like get changed and get cleaned up. I think that's what you said on direct.
More or less, yes.
Okay, but also it was they wanted to eat and shower and get clothes, because a couple of them had run out of the house without shoes that day. Do you recall that?
I do not recall who was wearing shoes and who was not wearing shoes.
Do you recall when you were reviewing the body worn camera footage that you took note in your report that you observed Mr. Caneiro not wearing shoes?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, so you at some point learned that at least Mr. Caneiro had no shoes.
Correct.
Now, at some point, are you aware that like neighbors offered them clothing or something like that?
I believe that's occurred, yes.
Okay, so I just want to, I'm not trying to, there were initially, Mr. Caneiro, to your knowledge, had no shoes, but ultimately neighbors were trying to give clothes, right?
Yes.
And shoes to assist. Okay, but what they wanted to do was change into their clothes, right? Is what they were expressing to you, unless I'm wrong.
How do we know what they want? How does this witness know what they want to do? Sustained. No, that's not what they said. That's not specifically what they said. What did they tell you that they wanted to do?
Wanted a little bit of time to get cleaned up.
That's what they told you.
I believe this.
Okay. Just asking you not to put words into the detective's mouth.
Did you approach?
No, not right now. Keep going. You can approach afterwards unless you feel you can't continue.
I just need a moment.
Take as much time as you need.
So I'm going to approach you with your report again, okay?
Yes.
And I'm going to take you to page 43 of 72. I'm going to direct your attention to this paragraph here, where you indicate the family requested some time to find new clothes and get cleaned up prior to responding to headquarters. Were those your words?
Yes.
Okay, so when I say new clothes, am I putting words in your mouth, or is that what you wrote?
That's what I wrote.
Okay, so to be clear, I'm not trying
Can
to
I have
trick
counsel up here, please?
Whoa. Oh, she tried it again. Oh, she tried to check the judge on the side. Did she really just try that? Oh man, let me see how I get that clip. Oh, this judge is not having it with her. He is so over her. He is so done with her. I don't know what she did to him, but he ain't feeling her at all. Oh my. She real petty too. I didn't know she real petty. Cause when the officer was like, when the officer had said to her, he was like, I did take several photos. And he was like, I took 2. Oh, she went through every photo. Like, this was the gas can. That's 1 photo. This was the gas can. That's 2. This was the gas can. That's 3. Oh, she real petty. You say you like that stand up for herself. She was like, I ain't putting words in his mouth. I'm about to pull it right out of this transcript,
Now,
Judge.
wanted time before they went to the police station, correct?
Yes.
And what was your response to them?
I advised them that I would like them to come to the police station as quick as possible.
And did you also say that the reason why you wanted them to go as quick as possible is because as time goes on, their memory of events will not be as accurate?
Correct.
So you were concerned that if they took a little bit of time to get new clothes or cleaned up, that would affect their ability to somehow relate to you what had happened 7 hours earlier.
Good, yes.
Okay, so then based on that, they agree, right?
Yes.
And they follow you or you follow them, you tell me, to the police station, correct?
I believe I followed them.
Okay, so you follow them to the police station. This is the Ocean Township Police Department.
Yes.
And you testified that when you got there, you had them wait in the lobby.
Yes.
And did you tell them like this will be quick at first? Because you didn't know about the 15 Willowbrook situation yet?
I don't recall if I gave them a time frame.
So you had them sit in the lobby for some time. And then you testified that you brought them down to the basement.
More or less of the building, yes, just where the detective is located.
Okay, and that's specifically into the conference room, correct?
Yes.
And you put all 4 of the Caneiros in there?
Yes.
And is there cell phone service in that conference room?
Yes.
There is, okay. And at some point, though, you separated the family members into interview rooms.
At some point, they were separated for their statements, yes.
Okay, but not one by one. You separated like 2 from one from another.
Yeah, I
Do
don't
you recall
recall
that?
which room everyone was in the detective. We used separate offices to take the statements.
And did you lock those rooms? Did you lock them in the rooms?
I don't believe so.
Now, at one point, the family members, you testified they were very upset. They were learning what was happening, right?
Yes.
And they learned it, I think you said initially through a family friend,
The original fire.
the original
Fire.
fire.
Correct. They received it. Someone in the family received a text message.
And then later, they're learning through media updates about someone being deceased at 15 Willowbrook.
Yes.
And you said they're demanding answers.
Yes.
And approximately what time is this?
1:30 to 2:30 ball. I don't remember. 2 o'clock? I'm not sure.
And when they're demanding answers, like what do they want? They want to know what? Like what's
Objection.
happening?
Sustained speculation.
Why didn't you give them answers to their questions?
Didn't necessarily have much information other than what I'm reading in a CAD entry narrative.
Well, do you have like phone contact with Colts Neck's detectives and
I
officers
did
and
not at that
the
time. No.
prosecutor's office?
I did not speak to Colts Neck detectives at that time. No.
But did you have access to a phone to call them?
Suppose I did, yes.
Okay, and you didn't though, right?
No.
So they're learning like there's a big issue at their family's home, a fire, someone's dead, and they're demanding answers. And you do what?
They requested us to check on their other family, which we did for them.
Okay, yes. Mr. Caneiro asked that you testified about that under direct, right?
Yes.
You testified that Mr. Caneiro asked you to call his parents, right, to make sure they were okay.
We ended up sending police officers there. I didn't call them.
Sorry?
We sent the NYPD to their house. I did not call his parents.
Okay, he wanted a wellness check.
Yes.
And this was before they learned anyone was deceased, because you mentioned on direct, they said don't mention the fire.
Fire and people deceased are 2 different things. I don't recall the time frame of when they learned, when they found out there was fatalities in Colts Neck versus when we did these wellness checks. They knew of the fire,
They knew of the fire.
and that's what he asked me not to tell them about.
And you didn't,
I did not. I instructed the NYPD officer not to do so, and to my knowledge, she did not.
right? That you indicate they law enforcement honored that request, right?
Best that I could make sure, yes.
So is it fair to say then that of course, like, we're talking about a fire because if their son was dead, they would tell them, you as law enforcement wouldn't withhold that information just because Paul Caneiro was asking you to, right?
Objection.
What's your objection?
I don't understand the question. I don't understand what being asked as a compound question.
It is a compound question. That also sustain it to the form.
Mr. Caneiro does not have any authority over you, does he? Okay, so when he asks you for a favor, such as checking in on his family, you don't have to do that, right? That's your choice.
As a police, we're there to help people. If he wants us to do a welfare check on someone, we have a duty to do so.
Well, no one can just say, hey, I want a welfare check. You have to have like a basis, right? Okay, and here there was a basis,
Yes.
right? But then he also, according to you in your direct testimony, Mr. Caneiro also asks, please don't tell them about the fire, right?
Yes,
And you honor that request.
as I stated.
Okay, because at that point, there was no information that anyone was deceased yet.
The original call came out with one fatality in Colts Neck.
What original call?
To Colts Neck. The call, when the prosecutor's office was alerted to a second fire in Colts Neck,
Mhm.
and we looked into it in our computer system that shares information with Colts Neck, the CAD, we learned in the narrative mention that there was a body in the ground in front of the house.
So then my next question is, why did they have to learn through the media that someone was dead at their family's house?
Objection, relevance.
I don't understand the relevance. Ms. Maslone, do you want to tell me what the relevance is?
goes to the circumstances of their investigation, how they're treating Mr. Caneiro and his family, the credibility of not just this detective, but the officer, the way that they tried to make it seem like he was trying to hide information from his family by saying, don't tell them about the fire. I mean, there's a host of reasons why this is relevant.
Sustained. It's not relevant.
If you as law enforcement felt that Mr. Caneiro was trying to manipulate something or withhold critical information, you would not have honored that request, correct?
Can you state that again?
If Mr. Caneiro didn't want you to tell his parents something for a bad reason, you wouldn't have honored the request. You would have said, no, we're going to tell them what we want to tell them.
No. My interpretation of him not asking us to inform his parents of the fire was to not concern his parents that something was happening.
Okay. He explained that to you.
I don't know if that was our exact conversation, but that was my understanding. That was my reason to honor his request, because he didn't want to overly concern his parents at that point in time.
Okay, because they're old. Did he explain that?
However old they are, I don't know how old they
Had a heart condition. Do you recall that?
are. No, I don't.
Eventually, was there, before you brought, at some point when the family's either in the lobby or when you first brought them down to the basement, do you recall a point in time where Katie Caneiro wanted to leave and she was told she couldn't leave?
Yes, perhaps.
Okay. And eventually at 11 p.m., I think you said on direct, that's when they left, right?
Approximately.
I think, and that's, in your report, you say that's when they could leave, right?
Okay.
Yes?
That's what my report says.
So that would mean that prior to that, they could not leave, right?
The reason why I did not want her to leave originally is because we did not know what was happening to the family at that point in time. They were escorts to the detective bureau for their safety.
So you wanted to bring them down into the basement for their safety, correct?
Yes.
And that was at, you said 2 p.m.,
No, that was earlier than that.
1
It
p.m.,
was around
approximately?
1, approximately.
Okay, approximately 1. So now we're going to go from 1 p.m. to 11 p.m., right? And it's 10 hours later?
Yes.
And now they can leave. Now it's safe.
They were allowed to leave.
Okay, you're no longer concerned about their safety, correct?
When they decided to leave, when they were leaving, I knew exactly where they were going, who they were staying with, and I had the police department do a check on those residences. So I continued to care.
Where did they go?
They each went to a different house.
Do you know where?
It's in my report.
They gave you the addresses and you're indicating that you sent.
I at least sent the West Long Branch Police Department to that to do routine checks on that house. Mrs. Caneiro stayed in Ocean Township, so our officers were well aware of what was happening, and I do not remember where the other donor stayed.
Okay. So at 11 p.m., they can leave as long as they give you their address and you have an officer check on where they are once in a while, right?
Yes.
And you're testifying that that did in fact happen.
What happened?
That officers went there and they circled the house periodically.
That was
to
my
make sure
request to
everything was
West Long Branch Police. Whether that they honored that, I cannot tell you.
okay. Did they? Do you? When the family was demanding answers, you still wanted to interview them, correct? Even though they found out what's happening with their family and something went wrong, you wanted them to stay and be interviewed, correct?
Yes.
And like you said, their interviews didn't take place till 3 or 4 o'clock.
Yes,
Okay, so
approximately.
hours after they got there and after they find out what's happening with their family.
Yes.
So they're being interviewed after knowing that there's a fire and at least one or more family members are deceased.
Objection. Again, it's irrelevant.
She wants to ask the question. Go ahead. Go ahead. Lieutenant, answer the question.
Yes, we did still want to take statements from them.
Did you ever leverage information as a basis for saying, like, if you just give us an interview, then we'll let you know what's going on with the family?
Objection.
Please come up here, please.
I mean, and also when we thinking about the judge, like, I don't know, y'all tell me what trials that we have seen in the past. I mean, this judge literally the other day, I want to say it was yesterday, he objected to a statement and literally had to come back and say he overruled his own objection. Like, I cannot with him. Like, he objecting, having them come up to the sidebar, and then he like, okay, I overruled my objection. What? I sustained my own objection. Like, what are we doing here? Like, he is being the lawyers, and I'm like, okay. It reminds me kind of like the Alicia trial where she like, look, I'm not about to be seeing the objections for them. You're going to be a lawyer and you're going to know when to object and what you're objecting for. What are your grounds? This judge, he doing it all. So I can't really tell. It seemed like I don't know. It seemed like he pro prosecution team, or maybe she just that messy. I don't know. I'm just, he objecting. He doing too much for me. And I just can't watch. He doing all the objecting. They not doing the objecting. And maybe it's just like that in New Jersey because they're not doing it. He's doing it. If I ever want to practice law, I am going to New Jersey. And what is this judge name? Because I know that I do not have to read the law book because I can just go in there and do exactly what she's doing, read off the transcripts, and the judge got my back. That's all I'm saying. You keep talking about this bed, Jason. Jason, leave that bed alone.
So the question that was asked of this witness was something to the effect of, again, I'm summarizing, whether this detective, now lieutenant, leveraged the fact of getting a statement against or from the Caneiro family members, the daughters, and maybe the mother, I don't know, to get statements from them so that, and then they would be able to leave at some point, something to that effect. But leveraging information, so basically making an allegation against this detective that he did something improper. I then brought counsel to the sidebar, and I asked about this and whether that there was anything that was provided, or whether there was a good faith basis to ask this question. And I was told by Ms. Mastalone that there may be information, and yes, she does have a good faith basis from family members. Prosecutors indicated at that point in time that they were not in possession of any information as it relates to this at all. They've attempted to speak to the Caneiros in the past. I'm talking about Susan and the kids, and they had been unable to do so for a period of time. I summarize this only because now I'm going to have an oral argument on the issue of the fact that no discovery was turned over about an allegation against this officer so that the state would have the opportunity to respond to it. I will start with the defense and ask your position, because you cited a case, and I want to give you the opportunity to lay that out on the record. I just want to do it outside the presence of the jury so we don't have anybody hearing anything, as to exactly your position as to why you do not feel that you had to turn this over at this point. I'm not saying never, but at this point. So go ahead.
Sure, Judge. The case that I'm relying on is State versus Tier, which is, I don't have it in front of me. If the court wants to give me about 2 minutes, I can pull it up. But TIER, and I believe it's like a 2016-ish case. And in that case, it was very similar. In that case, the defense had indicated that it had certain witnesses that it intended to call. The state wanted a proffer or a report. The defense indicated there is no proffer. There is no report. Nothing was memorialized. And I don't have to give you a proffer because I am entitled, meaning the defense, to a confidential Sixth Amendment investigation, and I'm entitled to have a defense that I don't have to hand over to the state. And in that case, I believe the trial court initially said, well, you have to turn over a proffer at least, and it went up on appeal. And I don't recall off the top of my head if it's an appellate division or Supreme Court, it might be Supreme Court, that said the trial court erred and the defense attorney did not have to provide a report, nor did the defense attorney have to provide a proffer. But upon request from the court, the defense attorney could have to tell the state whether or not their witnesses were fact witnesses or character witnesses. And that's the extent of which the court can control what information the defense turns over to the state. Now, I will also add that at this point in time, obviously no witnesses have been called yet. The state indicated that these witnesses were on their witness list. It was anticipated that they were going to call them. And I understand that in recent time, they haven't had contact with them, but there are multiple reports where they have had contact with them. These aren't witnesses they've never spoken to before. They spoke to them on the 20th. In fact, this
November 20th, 2018.
Yes.
Okay, so it's not recent. It's when the date of the incident occurred, which is the date you're alleging that maybe something was leveraged to get them to give that particular statement, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. They spoke to them the day of. So they were there. Like, this detective was there. I'm not asking an officer who wasn't there whether this happened.
You're about to accuse a lieutenant of whether he leveraged information. What you did basically by asking that question. You're saying that you have good faith basis to ask the question, which I respect. You say you do. Again, I respect that also. But I need to read the case that says that you have the ability to do that and that the state can be completely blinded by the fact that you even have any of this information. The state had no chance to respond to this information, to even know what was going on. It doesn't matter to me right now of whether it's Susan's going to be called or the kids are going to be called. The allegation right now deals with this witness and you having information that's in your possession. How long have you had it in your possession, just so that the record is clear?
Judge, I don't.
How long? I'm asking you. The court's asking you a question. How long have you had this in your possession, just so that I know?
From approximately maybe 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Okay. All right. Here's what I'm going to do. Let me hear from the state.
I mean, to be honest with you, Ms. Mastalone knows. And, you know, she's actually made attempts to serve as like an intermediary between the state and Ms. Caneiro. We actually had an appointment to meet with Ms. Caneiro on September 5th, 2018. That was the day, it was the day that they argued that Mr. Caneiro should be released as a result of the appeal to the Supreme Court.
You're talking about 2025, not 2018.
Sorry.
So that date is September 12th, 2025.
Ms. Wallace had actually spoken to Ms. Caneiro. She was very nice, my understanding of the conversation. She agreed to meet with us. Then we had to be here in court. She came for the first time in 8 years to court and watched the arguments to have her husband released. And we had to cancel that appointment. Other attempts recently to try to meet with her and her daughters. We've had to go serve. The detectives had to go to her home to serve her because it's the only way we could make sure that they potentially, be aware of when, that they were under subpoena. They told us through Ms. Mastalone, well, actually, Ms. Caneiro told Ms. Wallace that, she didn't want to meet, but she would get up on the stand and tell the truth. I mean, I got to be honest. I'd love the defense to call Ms. Caneiro and the two daughters in their case, but obviously I don't control that fact. I'd love to cross-examine them about being leveraged. There were attorneys there that day on Mr. Caneiro's behalf at the Ocean Township Police Department too, in fact, one of which gave a statement in this case, which was sort of intimated when Lieutenant Brady was asked questions about Cap and Harrington. There's also another statement. We haven't chose to use that witness because I would imagine they're going to argue it's attorney-client privilege, but that's neither here nor there. I haven't really reviewed this case. I see it was a matter, I believe Ms. Mastalone worked for the law firm that handled it at the time. I believe, I could be wrong. So obviously we're not necessarily aware off the top of our heads about this case law. My understanding is that like if they were to document something based upon a conversation with Mrs. Caneiro and or the daughters, that, the law, the discovery rules, I would think, courtesy would dictate that would be provided to the state. I mean, that's just my baseline 22 years of practicing law understanding. But again, I'd have to look further. I mean, I would welcome the opportunity to cross-examine all three of them about this information, but
I'm going to take a break. I hear you. I'm going to take a break. I'm going to read this case. I'll take a look at it. I am not familiar with it, so I'm going to go read it, and then I'm going to come back and render a decision about my findings as to this discovery issue. Can you just tell the jurors more that it's going to be a little bit more? Sure.
See, I'm not mad at that. Okay, let him go look at whatever he need to go look at. But I guess I'm kind of in the same notion as the defense. Like, we don't have to tell you what we doing over here. Like, we don't have to give you our defense strategy. That was the same thing that happened kind of sort of when we were watching the Uvalde case with the Brady violation. Like, the defense, they did not want to give up their strategy. So they didn't want to put on the record. They didn't want to say out loud, but they was like, look, we know that this timeline stuff that came in has a big, hiccup in our, we just don't want to give up our strategy. And I can see their thing that they don't want to give up their strategy or how they about to try to win this, but, or try to win this. But it's funny to hear that he had asked for appeal because some information had came in where he wanted to get out. Interesting. More to it than what I knew. As always, because y'all know I can't do deep dives like some channels. Too busy in all of them. Let's see.
These
Okay, we want to hear the judge decision, so let's see what he say.
Wanted to make sure it was very clear.
Gosh, he want to stay on her neck, boy. He on your neck. What's her name?
It's
Before I call her Miss J.
28 NJ 555. It is a 2017 case. I agree with Ms. Mastalone that what she says is what it says in this case. I was not familiar with this case.
She
I
know
was
her
surprised
stuff.
by it. In all my years of doing this, this is not my understanding, but I follow the law as the Supreme Court says it. So with that being said, I'm going to allow the defense to ask the question if they didn't memorialize the information. Seems like they don't need to.
Can I ask one question? Just
Sure.
I guess the question becomes, I wanted to make sure it was very clear that this was not memorialized in the court or in some sort of summary regarding this interaction with any of these witnesses.
No, so she know what she's talking about. Checkmate. Uh-oh. Did y'all hear that? She knew what she was talking about. He said he wasn't familiar with the case. He read it. That's the law. All right. Everybody have several seats.
Judge, I can represent that this is part of the reason that was expressed to me why the family wishes not to speak to the state, because they felt mistreated in a variety of different ways, not by these particular prosecutors, but just overall. And the state is obviously prosecuting Mr. Caneiro. So that's how that's
Okay.
how I learned this information. And I don't know what else to say.
All right. So there's nothing written or there's no statement and there's no oral statement memorialized. That's what Ms. Mastalone is saying. She's saying
This was a phone conversation.
I mean, my only question too
No,
is,
and just to be clear, I did not memorialize that conversation.
that's what I assumed you meant. But go ahead.
the only thing I was, obviously I had a chance to read the case pretty briefly, but I do note that one of the prior cases addressed in tier would be discusses the idea of, you know, the theory behind this being is that they don't have to reveal information early in time that may be, extremely helpful to a criminal.
I get it. This is not dealing with
inculpatory.
and this is not, and these instances were pre-trial. It's not in the middle of trial, even though it's kind of mentioned about trial in here. But based upon the way I read the opinion, that the Supreme Court has made it clear that if it's not memorialized, they basically don't have to prove anything and they don't have to do a single thing. It's on the state to do everything, and it's not the defense's job to give up their defense and or how they want to handle moving forward.
It's just the system we work in, Your Honor.
It's just so the record is clear, the state knows this too, that the 20th wasn't the only day that they spoke to Susan Caneiro, for example. There were other days also, just.
With his attorney at the time, Paul Caneiro's attorney, representing the entire family. And there were times where our detectives met them at the house in order to get a key so they didn't have to destroy a safe or things like that. So yes, at that time, that is somewhat true.
So it wasn't for more reasons statement wise, it was for other reasons?
That is my recollection based upon everything off the top of my head without looking at everything. Yes, there's no second statement from any of those individuals.
There is in December. It was the next month. It's memorialized, and I can't recall off the top. It might even be Detective Brady's report or Petrozello's, but it was to ask follow-up questions or something like that.
Okay. If it's documented, it's so documented. Can we get our lieutenant back in?
The only question I was just trying to remember off the top of my head without having it in front of me was are they on the defense witness list?
I don't know.
Our original trial memo said that we reserve the right to call any named person in the state's discovery.
Okay.
And I just imagine any of the other defense witnesses that are on the list, there's no other reports for any of those people.
Correct. I have nothing.
This is just strategy. Get it.
Okay. So we can have our lieutenant back in, please. Once the lieutenant is comfortable and seated, we can bring the jurors back in. indicated to you, I would try to do that at the beginning of the day or the end of the day, but sometimes that just can't happen. Unfortunately, this was one of those times I had to address it right now. So I apologize for the delay in leaving you in there. I wish there was windows in there, but there's not. We got some nice pictures up there. A little bit about the county if you want to take a look. But otherwise, I apologize to you for the delay in keeping you in there. But we are now ready to go. That the issue has been dealt with, and now we'll proceed. So Ms. Mastalone is going to re-ask the question that she was asking before. Go ahead.
Sir, the question was simply this. At the time that, so you're at the police station, Ocean Township Police Department with the Caneiro family, correct?
I was still in the
November-
afternoon.
On November
Yes.
20th of 2019, right?
Yes.
From approximately 1 o'clock up to 11 o'clock PM, correct?
Yes.
Or maybe it was noon, it was actually noon, so we're talking like 12 hours or so. And during that time, we know that the family eventually learned through the media that their family members from 15 Willowbrook, at least some of them were deceased, correct?
I believe that we knew that there was fatalities, and it was at the house. I don't recall what time we received positive identifications of anyone.
And at some point, despite them having learned something was happening with their family, you still wanted to take statements from them at the police department, correct?
Yes.
And at any point, are you aware, not saying you personally, are you aware of any officers at that time who were leveraging information about what was going on with the family as a mechanism to get statements from them?
I am not,
You're not aware.
I am not aware.
And Judge, I don't have anything further. Thank you.
Sir, you can step down. Thank you. State, call the next witness.
Thank you, Judge. The state calls Sergeant Daniel Mazzicola.
You sound like me, Barker. I don't like none of them. The one prosecutor lady, she really nice. I don't think they have no problem. I'm just not really feeling like it. Sometimes it just seems like they be real
Watch
low.
yourself, if you don't mind. Please put your left hand on the Bible, raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay. Once you're seated and comfortable, can you state your full name for the record and spell your last name, please?
Sergeant Daniel Mazzicola, Mazzucla.
All right, thank you, sir. Prosecutor, when you're ready.
Good afternoon, sir. Can you tell us where you were?
Update, I was sitting as a patrol officer at the firehouse number 2 in Cold Lake, New Jersey.
Sorry, you may not have. Just wanted to ask you where it is that you currently work.
Oh, sure. Cold Lake Township PD.
Okay, approximately how long have you been a police officer with the Colts Neck